What is going on, everybody? We are in here for another episode of Believe in Kentucky. Like we said, coming at y'all a little bit different. My name is Vinny Hardy. We got the former UK QB, Jalen Whitlow, in here, man. Jalen, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Staying busy right now. How about you?
About to say, man, about to say. I know you got a season you're getting ready for, coaching. Are you the head coach? You the OC? What?
Oh, yeah, OC and quarterbacks.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, cool. Because the Georgia guys, the do the Believe in Georgia show, which we talked about Israel Troop before. You remember him playing there? I think he's a little older than you. But Corey Burton, he hosted too. They're both OCs. I think Corey's in Nashville, and Israel is down in South Georgia somewhere.
Mm.
I'm not sure what school he's at. I think he was in Southeast Georgia. Now he's in Southwest Georgia, but he's down there closer to the maybe the Georgia Florida line, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so if we get them on here, it'll be offensive coordinator overload between you and them, man.
Yeah, I think Troop is at I think Ware County. Uh,
Okay.
they really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really
Okay.
good.
And they way down there, right?
Yeah, they Ware County is. Let me look. It's down there. Let me see where it is. Yeah, it's in like Waycross area.
Okay.
So that's in South Georgia where they got them Gators.
that's, that's what I thought. Like
Yeah.
they got swamps and everything down
Oh
there.
yeah. They it's like a big wildlife refuge down there too. And I used to live in South Carolina, so all through like South Georgia, I mean it's basically like Florida, man. You can see anything down there.
All right, man. Sometimes those golf tournaments and those big crocs just be rolling out on the green and stuff. Ooh,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
they can have that, man.
Yeah, they got it.
Well, man, like I said, we coming at it all a little bit different. Y'all have been listening for a long time. Believe Network, Believe.com, all the audio formats, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, tune in. You can listen to us in a lot of different places. We'd be on YouTube. It'd be a couple days after the fact, but today is the first episode that we are live streaming, and we got the live streams up on at Believe in Kentucky on Twitter. You can follow us there. We got a Believe in Kentucky YouTube channel. There's obviously no subscribers yet. This is the first content that's coming from there, but hey, y'all subscribe there, and y'all get every episode from now on there. You want to ask questions, feel free to do so. Put comments in there, and Believe in Kentucky Facebook page there as well. Check and keep an eye on all of those. And if you got any questions or comments, if you enjoy the show, let us know. Still give us, rate and review, subscribe, all that good stuff. But Jalen, man, we come to people a little bit different, and we're excited about it, and been meaning to do it, and finally did. And hope everybody enjoys it, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it'll be a good change.
Yeah, I'll try to check the little Twitter, make sure it's up. But it says it is. So I'm on trust StreamYard that they know what they're doing. They got us all coordinated, and we ready to do it, man. And Aaron, our guy Aaron Gershon, is not with us this evening. Obviously, he has made a quick trip up to Boston to watch his beloved Yankees take on them Sox in Fenway Park. And because y'all know he's a big pinstripe guy, big Yankee guy, and had a chance to run up to Boston to watch his Yankees play up there. So I hope he's having a good time. And next week, of course, he'll be back with us. And we'll be the trio that we usually always are. And got a special episode when he comes back.
Oh yeah.
He writes for the catspaws.com. And we got a little ranking episode. Y'all just stay tuned for next week, and we'll have a little fun with that. Because we never done that since we've been together either. So that's gonna be fun when we.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, man. I was hoping we were getting at it soon today, but we'll get it. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah. So y'all stay tuned for that. But it is summer and things slow down. But that being said, we still got some news coming across. Before we hopped on and hit this live button, we talked about how everybody was panicking about the Kentucky basketball roster. A couple weeks ago, there was only 7 players, and they're going up to Toronto next month to play some exhibition games against some pretty good teams from around the world. And they can't even practice because there's only 7 players. What they gonna do? And since then, Jalen, the roster kind of coming right on along, man.
Yeah, man. I just said, before we went live, I told you that, it's funny how, 1 minute everybody can be on pins and needles, and the next minute a lot of people can be feeling good about what's going on. So, I see the comments on Twitter, and I see it on, Instagram and all that stuff that, people starting to feel better about the situation. They're starting to feel better about what's going on, the talent acquisition that's happening. So that's good, man. I think, like I say, I think Calipari can be cooking with hot grease right here. Because, like I said, you always, as a coach, you always want that team that's just hungry to prove something, and you don't want your team to be motivated by like external factors. But when you do have blatant and obvious external factors, you can use those. So I think this team may be one of the hardest playing teams. If they decide to use that, if he hammers that home, like, hey guys, look, nobody believes that this. They a lot of people may think this is going to be the worst Kentucky team since whatever, right? So not enough talent or whatever, not enough continuity, not enough, just experience. We lost our rebounder, we lost our player of the year, we lost 5 guys to the transfer portal, whatever it may be, whatever excuse people are going to use, and whatever excuse that Calipari can use to get those guys to kind of play at a high level. So I do believe that, I'm seeing a lot more optimism about it now that, roster spots are filling up.
Yeah, because we had, already in the fold the number 1 recruiting class, the freshman class coming in. And so that was there as part of the 7 that everybody's worried about. But we still need more. Then we talked last week, Antonio Reeves comes back. He got 37 at Arkansas. He's, played a lot of college basketball. He's experienced, 23 years old, so been around. And sometimes, the fan base, the worry moves. Well, okay, this is cool here. Well, let's find something else to worry about. Well, now, like you mentioned, the greatest rebounder pretty much that we've seen, because the elite rebounding of Oscar Tshiebwe, he's decided to go pro, signed a 2-way deal with the Pacers the other day. So congratulations to Big O for that. So Lance Ware transfers. We're the bigs. So due to the unfortunate situation with Bob Huggins resigning, West Virginia has some guys that, hey, we changed the scenery due to the status of the coach. And so Trey Mitchell, 6'9", 240, transfers from West Virginia to Kentucky, just like, Oscar Tshiebwe did a few years before him. Leaves Morgantown and heads to Lexington, and you have another big guy. He can, shoot the 3, stretch the floor a little bit. Another 23-year-old, been around. He was at UMass, was at Texas, was at West Virginia. So had a few stops along the way, and now he finds himself in Kentucky as well, as you say, as the roster continues to fill out.
Yeah, like I said, I think, that piece right there, like you said, people are always going to find something to like worry about. Even if I really do believe that they found something to worry about with the Anthony Davis team. People are always going to. I think that's just like human nature, man. But at the end of the day, right? I think it kind of a lot of people were able to like, because you got some Kentucky. I don't know how it is to be like that big of a fan of anything. That's just not how I'm wired. But you got some Kentucky fans who they honestly like probably think about that stuff before they go to sleep at night. They think, well, oh man, we gotta, even in June, we got to figure out who's gonna be in that roster spot, and that's great. It's good to be a school to have fans that way. But I think now those same people can like, okay, they feel comfortable with this last piece that just got put in the puzzle. So then they can kind of like, rest on that, and they'll find something else to kind of think about and worry about. But I think a lot of people are kind of satisfied with what happened or what transpired in the past couple of weeks, because I do think, you can kind of, like I said, man, you can kind of put together these pieces and kind of get guys to play above their level. But I do think there's still a good team. You still got, you're gonna have a couple freshmen that come in and play. We know that. You got transfer. You got a couple guys that's back from last year that's gonna have a bigger role most likely. So the team is gonna be, a talent wise. I think it's not gonna be as big of a drop off as we may think from some of the good Kentucky teams. And it's not going to look like that because I do think you're going to have a team that's hungry, right? And that's just what I keep going back to. I think you got a team that's hungry that's, being overlooked, and that can really look like we watch them on Saturday or watch them on a Tuesday or watch them on, right? Or you go to the game, you're like, man, these guys playing fast. They playing hard. They making shots. Well, it's amazing what motivation can do. It's amazing when people doubt you, what you can do. So, that last piece from West Virginia was a big piece, no doubt about that. But I do think all the other pieces as well are going to be, some of them may not have as big as a name as some of the past teams, but I do think that they're going to balance it out with their desire to be what a lot of people don't think they can be.
And based on what you're saying, that desire, that hunger, if they connected and if they buy in, you're saying that can cover over for a lot of inexperience.
100%. We've all seen those teams that they just got it. They may not be the most talented team, they may not be, but they just play well together, right? They won unit. And I think you're going to get that out of this team, man, because like you said, they've heard, especially those guys, those freshmen or those kids that have been on the team, for the past year or so, they've heard everything negative you can hear about the basketball team. We don't have this, we don't have that. We lost our best rebounder ever. We lost this, we lost that. At some point, human nature going to set in. They're going to want to say, okay, and it may come off as almost like to the fans, like, okay, y'all don't think we can get it done. We're going to show y'all, we're going to show our own fans that we can get it done, because everybody's going to holler the usual suspects when they talk about teams that can potentially win a championship next year in college basketball. They're going to say those same names. They're going to say Gonzaga's going to make a run. They're going to say UCLA may have a chance. They're gonna say the same names. Maybe Duke can come back and have a big year again. They're gonna say that. So, I think one team, one blue blood that's gonna be left out of some of those conversations may be Kentucky. So when those kids see that, this is probably the most excited I've been about Kentucky basketball in a while, because there's a lot of there's a lot of questions to be asked. There's a lot of there's an open door when it comes to what Kentucky basketball is moving forward after this past year and after the past 2 years, really. So without Oscar Tshiebwe, what are we moving forward? Where's our identity? How are we going to play? How are we going to make up for the lack of 5-star talent that we usually have in every position? They don't necessarily have that right now, but I bet this team ends up being a team that could beat one of those teams that's full of 5 stars. That's what I'm excited to see, because like I said, it's amazing what that motivation can do. It's amazing when guys playing on one accord can do. So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah. So it's a couple weeks. Let's see, July the 12th. I think not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after. I think they'll have that first game. They'll be up there in Toronto, and everybody will get a look at them it'll be on ESPN Plus, or probably maybe ESPN itself by the however they figure out how it's going to be broadcast. But if Big Blue Nation has its way, it's going to be on ESPN or SEC Network or something to where everybody can get a look. So we'll get a glimpse. Mitchell coming in too, because Bradshaw, some say he's got an injured foot. Don't know. You keep hearing that his He's got a foot injury. He's going to be out. We don't know. There's video of him moving around, and so we'll see. But you get a little more insurance. Another 6'9" guy, experienced guy. Um, Coach David Sisk, who I think he's for Rivals, said he had covered him since he was a sophomore in high school. He's now in the best shape of his life because the dude that got up to about 280, and so now he's down to about 240. So as far as being in shape and ready to play, maybe not as physical or as much of a banger as he was at that bigger weight, but in a lot better shape. My thing though is he's been able to shoot the three. Aaron pulls up the stats. I think he's about 35, 36% 3-point shooter. Shot, I think, about 100 last year at West Virginia. I just wonder how many will he shoot at Kentucky. Will Cal let him step out there and shoot some?
Yeah.
Will he be allowed to let that part of his game continue to be part of his game, or will he just be more back to basket? Will he be more mid-range and in, more interior? I just want to see what his role is. Or hey, if you can stroke it from out there, will he be allowed to do it? Because we big guys, stretch fours. That's the name of the game now. If you you 6'8", you 6'10", you stepping out and shooting threes. It's not limited to the small guys anymore. So I just wonder. I'm curious to see how many threes he'll get when they put the offense in and start playing for real.
Yeah, I think he'll if he's shooting well leading up into the season, then we'll see that. A lot of coaches who kind of have an old school type mentality with that, you got to show them every day that okay, he's shooting well, they'll let you do it. But if it's looking shaky going into the season, then he may be banging in that paint. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. But I think the game has evolved so much, man, to where it's positionless basketball at the end of the day. You get some teams that still playing structured position basketball, but ever since the Warriors start doing what they were doing back in 13, 14 or so, a lot of people have adapted this positionless basketball type, style where it's extremely okay for, your big guys to be playing on the perimeter. And I remember playing basketball when I was in elementary, middle school, high school, and man, it was almost a joke for your big guy to be out there on the perimeter. They had it's like a fish out of water. And that's amazing because I'm not old or anything. And that wasn't that long ago for real. And now, the quantum leaps that the game of basketball has made, I think Calipari is going to be kind of forced to, kind of acquiesce to, first of all, your talent, but also the style that these kids want to play. They see what's going on in the NBA. They see that now you don't have many guys like Shaq, right? You see Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
Jokic plays on the perimeter. Jokic distributes the ball. He shoots threes. He runs the offense, right? Draymond Green, even though he's not a true big, but technically he's a four. He's a power forward technically, but he can play center. He can play point guard as well, right? He don't have a position. He's just a basketball player. So, coaches are being forced to adapt to that because kids are becoming that. In the AAU circuit, they're becoming that, and that's just the way it's going. So, I think he'll be a little bit more lenient on that, especially if the guy can do it.
Mm-hmm. Flip to football, not a whole lot, but there was another commitment today from St. Louis. Caleb Red, 6'4", 215 edge rusher, picked Kentucky over USC, Oklahoma, Nebraska, and K-State. So they go right into Mizzou country. And 6'4", 215. That's Stoops better than I do, but that's his type of rangy guys with length. You can put some weight on him, being that JJ Weaver, Jordan Wright mode, and bring him along to have another edge rusher when he gets here and develops.
Yeah, that's you could count on that from the Stoops crew of bringing somebody in like that who highly recruited but maybe a little bit undersized or underweight, and they Coach Ed and those guys in the weight room do a good job of developing those guys. Um, and a lot of those guys, they just have the DNA to get bigger. They have the DNA to, you know, some guys. I mean, myself, for instance, I came in at the Kentucky. I got there like 200 pounds, 203 pounds. By the time I left, I was like 222 or whatever. So you're gonna gain weight. You can eat all you want to eat, right? You lifting weights. I mean, there's literally unlimited protein and all that stuff. So those guys gonna gain weight, man. And they doing it. I've been seeing there's a lot of buzz around Kentucky football right now when it comes to recruiting. They killing it in recruiting, man. I don't know what. I would like to be a fly on the wall and see what they telling these kids. They are killing. I mean, you taking players from USC. Like that's unheard of in Kentucky recruiting. So they kind of blazing new trails right now. And they've been blazing those trails the past few years, but they really blazing them now. The facilities help, the NILs, getting the NIL stuff, the collective stuff together helping. But they are blazing new trails in recruiting. The Liam Cohen effect is definitely helping. The Devin Leary, Will Levis effect is helping. The Cutter Bowley effect is helping. So that stuff is all they building good momentum. So hopefully they continue, to ride that thing into the season. But man, they are. I mean, they need a raise, man. They need to pay those coaches more.
Coach Buffano is the Missouri guy, and so he went straight to the Lou and brought a player back, man. So that's what you saw a lot online about. That's a big win for Coach Buffano since he is recruiting Missouri, and hey, it's good to see, man. So Caleb Redd commits to Kentucky today. It's good stuff, man. Like you said, and it's to see. I don't know, since Stoops has been here the past 10, 11 years, just the level of player, the quality of player, if you want to, for lack of a better word. Because when you go from beating out Eastern Michigan and Kent State and Western Kentucky to now USC and big time schools with prestige and history and tradition. The first time, Boss Man Fat transfers from LSU. Whoa, he leaving LSU and coming to Kentucky. Whoa, okay. Keidron Smith and guys like that leaving. O-lineman leaving Auburn and leaving bona fide historical football schools and transferring to Kentucky. And it's not fluky because it continues to consistently happen.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I left Lexington and I was hearing about, when I was there, they got Drew Barker. Drew Barker had offers from a lot of people. A lot of people wanted him. He was an in-state kid. And then when I left, they were getting, I'm like, man, and that was part of, to be honest, full transparency on here. So y'all about to get a story on here that I haven't told. But full transparency, that's part of the reason why I left. I was asked to play another position. And I was like, I thought about it. I had to meet with the coaches. I was like, no. I was like, y'all getting these guys who've been playing receiver, who've been playing all these other positions, who've been playing it their whole life, and they highly recruited. They expect to come in and play. I'm a guy who y'all didn't recruit. And also, I hadn't been playing receiver. I hadn't been training at receiver. So I played receiver a little bit in high school, man, but they used to just stick me out there. I didn't know how to run a route, really. I knew how to run a route, but I didn't know the details of I had a long way to go to be able to be at a point where I can have success in the SEC at that position. I had the athletic ability, but I was like, no, man, they recruiting this position a lot better now. So, I'm going to stick to my quarterback. And so I'm gonna make a move, but that's a part of the reason because I saw the trend of how they were getting these guys, and like you said, for call it what it is, we were getting higher quality players, and that's no shot to nobody. That's just the truth, And I was like, yeah, man, these guys, they've been born to do this. They highly recruited at doing this. I'd rather not do it. at this position here. So that's that was the big reason. I was like, they are recruiting really well right now, and they're getting guys in here that probably going to play on Sundays at this position. And we've seen that. Jeff Badette he played on Sundays for a quick minute. He's in the XFL right now. They had other guys who had opportunities to definitely do it. Javis Blue got a shot in the league. So they had started to step that thing up, man, and now they really stepping it up, and it's at a new level now. So, but shout out to them, man. They, like I said, the time that they put in, I know the time that they put in, and the effort and the sacrifice. They need to up those coaches' pay, man. They doing it.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned XFL. Tyrell Asian just joined the XFL Renegades the other day, so I know you've been keeping up with that league a little more than I had in USFL. So good to see Tyrell Asian get on there with the Arlington Renegades.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And like I said, it's to the point now where the program is at a point now to where you're going to see just as many guys getting shots at the next level as if you would see at an Auburn or at a Florida. Yeah, I mean, that's where they are now. So that's what they built that thing up to. So shout out to them.
Yeah, and Trevor Wallace is a beast. At linebacker, there's definitely see him hearing his name called. When he enters the drafts, and yeah, it's definitely just the used to it in basketball. We've seen it forever, and and then when you have football schools like Auburn fans, they went to a Final Four a few years ago, and they're seeing all this in basketball, and they're probably like wrapping their head around it. Well, Kentucky basketball fans, we've been doing that for years. It's just the reverse here. We're seeing that consistently happen in football, where the Alabamas and the LSU, man, we've been doing this for years, but it's the newness of it, the excitement of it. Like, wow, we're really. Whoa, we won 10 games a few years ago. Oh, won 10 games again. The respect that the program gets for stepping up with the big boys and trying to get a seat at that table, consistently is still new, but it's become part of the culture now, because that's it's what Stoops has built, and is continuing to grow that thing, like you said.
Yeah, and it's it's at an all-time high now. They're recruiting at a level where they in uncharted territory. I mean, uncharted waters. I mean, this is new for Kentucky football. So, like I said, man, it's good to see. I always knew that it would get to that point, though. Ever since they made that hire back in 2013, I always knew that it would get to this point. Because based on who he was coming in, speaking of Coach Stoops, and where he came from and what he was used to, I always knew it would get to that point. Mm-hmm. I think the biggest thing, though, and just call a spade, the biggest thing that helped him, obviously Vince Morrow, Coach Morrow is exceptional recruiter, but the biggest thing that has changed the program around it was the hire a couple years ago with Cohen, man. Mm-hmm. You now have a shot to get the best of the best on offense. You do. You legit, especially at quarterback, you have the shot to get the best of the best, or even at receiver. All you got to do is, hey, turn on that film. Hey, this is Cooper Kupp, man. We run the same concepts. Mm-hmm. This could be you. Yeah. So so they rolling right now.
Speaking of Vince Morrow, just tied that knot over the weekend.
Yeah, I heard, man. I heard. Shout congratulations to him, man. I mean, I'm sure he's happy to kind of get that out of the way with his busy schedule, and it's good that he did it in the summer. But that's big, man. Shout out to him. Embarking on a new journey. I know he the life of the party. He's the life of the party, man. So I know. I know he was cutting up at the reception and whatnot. So Shout out to him.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, congratulations to the big dog. You mentioned you played a little receiver in high school, but primarily quarterback, right?
Right.
Okay. So I know you got a brother that played quarterback. I know you talk about quarterback play a lot with your dad. So a lot of family influences on the position. But outside of the family, who were you watching coming up as a quarterback? Who were you like? If, you say you're not a big fan, just you don't fan or really fanboy on a lot of stuff. But who are you watching? Who are you like maybe trying to emulate? Outside of the influences you had with your family as a young middle schooler, high schooler, who were you trying to watch at the college level or maybe NFL or whoever? Who were you
Yeah.
peeking at?
I think I told you it's the first quarterback that I've ever like consciously remember like wanting to be like was Jason Campbell.
Okay.
Uh, he was the first one, and I told you I saw him a couple times around here recently. Uh, he lives around here, so um, Jason Campbell was the first one that I remember watching. Like, you know, I like it. I like the way he played. He played like how I like to play. Because believe it or not, man, I wasn't really a runner at all until like my senior year of high school. Growing up in youth football, I ran the ball obviously, but when I got to middle school, high school, I was a passer. I was like almost a straight pocket passer.
Mm,
Uh, you know, so I've never been. It wasn't until I got to Kentucky where people started classifying me as a dual threat.
mm.
For real. So I've always been like a passer. So Jason Campbell. When I got to middle school, I started watching a lot of. I mean, Michael Vick, obviously. Um, I started watching. I used to watch Donovan McNabb. Obviously Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. Uh, Drew Brees was a big one for me because he always stood out because he had very good mechanics. He wasn't very tall. I knew I
Hmm.
wasn't going to be. Once I got to a certain age, I knew I wasn't going to be 6'5", 6'6". So I knew I had to kind of learn how does he do what he do a little bit. Um, who else I'm missing? Um, Aaron Brooks. They used to play for the Saints.
Oh wow, yeah.
I used to watch a lot of Aaron. People forget about Aaron Brooks, man. Like
Hmm.
I used to watch a lot of Aaron Brooks. Um, I lived in the South, man. In Alabama, we don't have a sport. We don't have a professional sports team, so we watched a lot of Saints, Falcons. We watched some Cowboys. We watched some Tennessee Titans. So, um, you know, uh, Steve McNair was a big one. Of watching. So I used to watch those guys, man. But I never really had that one quarterback that I was like, man, I want to model everything I do after him. I kind of like watched a lot of guys and like kind of pieced together what I liked, um, and what I wanted to what I wanted to be. And to be honest with you, I found inspiration in other positions too. So I used to watch the guys like when I was in high school. Patrick Peterson was my favorite college player.
Mm.
Uh, when I was in high school, he was an absolute dog,
Yeah.
in college. And I used to watch him. Julio Jones I used to watch these guys. I wasn't really just relegated to the quarterback position. I was a football junkie, man,
Hmm.
and I still kind of am. But I used to carry around the football everywhere I went. So that's kind of how it was for me. So I used to watch a lot of those guys. But yeah, the first one though, just to answer your question, long winded, but Jason Campbell was the first quarterback that I was like, okay, I kind of want to throw the ball like how he throw it.
Got to get him back on here too, man. We talked about that.
Man,
I texted.
we got to get Jason Campbell on, man.
Yeah, I texted him the other day, so I gotta holler back at him, man, and
Yeah.
see, because for sure. Um, it's sad news, man. But talking about the quarterback, but Ryan Mallett passed away, man. Just
Yeah.
SEC, but he did his thing at Arkansas, and I know a little bit older than you, but I know you saw plenty of film on him, saw his game, and,
Yeah.
played some years in the league too, but sadly drowned down in Destin, Florida at 35 years of age. I definitely hate to see that.
Yeah, man. I was getting off the field yesterday, working with the quarterback, and I saw that, man. I was like, man, I was kind of shocked. I was not kind of. I was really shocked by that, because I mean, you hate to see that from guys that played your position. You watched growing up. I remember watching Ryan Mallett when I was in high school. It was like, man, I remember seeing Bobby Petrino on the sideline, like, and I remember seeing that people saying how tall he was. And I was like, man, it always hit home when it's like people that's not very far from you in age, played your position, played on teams that you played against, even though he wasn't on, that Arkansas team the year that I played him, but he was only like a year or two removed. That time my freshman year, we went to Fayetteville and played Arkansas. So it's just. You hate to hear that, man. He was a high school head coach. Somewhere in the South. I forgot where it was, Tennessee or something like that, maybe Arkansas. You just hate to hear that, man. I didn't really know how to process that because you don't expect that somebody that young. But rest in peace to him. His family and everything, and hopefully they can overcome that.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely sad news. Definitely think about everybody for Arkansas and the Patriots and that knew him and played with him and everything like that. Flipping it back to baseball, still all SEC because LSU beat Florida, the Men's College World Series, and from Kentucky standpoint, man, no shame when you lose to the champs, man. You played them at their place. They won, and that team was stacked. They were loaded, and Wake Forest had been one of the better teams all year. LSU been one of the better teams all year. LSU had lost a game. They had to beat Wake Forest twice because it was double elimination. Beat them twice. I think they sent Tennessee home. Florida, solid team like the SEC. I mean, they've been beating each other up, and then so you get a SEC championship, and LSU wins the first one. Florida dog walked LSU in the second game, and then LSU turned right around and ran Florida out the field in the third game, like 18-4, something like that. So, you got the women's basketball championship. Now you got the baseball championship. Just won a couple years ago with Joe Burrow, and Baton Rouge is getting some hardware down there, man.
Yeah, I mean, I got a friend that's actually I saw him for the first time in a while 2 weekends ago, and we went to I told you we went to the Battery in Atlanta. We watched the LSU baseball game. I forgot who they were playing, but he's a huge LSU fan, so I know he's happy right now. But man, like I said, they need to just stop, grab about 10 more teams, 12 more teams, place them in the SEC, and let everybody else do what they're going to do, and just let the SEC compete for championships every year. Because, I mean, it's getting ridiculous. What's that video by DeMarcus Cousins? That interview is getting ridiculous. It's starting to get really ridiculous, man. It's really embarrassing though when you think about it. If you part of another conference, you like, man, like they are killing everybody and everything. They never thought basketball would be so big in the SEC, and basketball is starting to really take over. They got to continue to win them. They got to win one, but basketball is taking over. Baseball is by far the SEC is the best conference. Football, not even close, right? I guess you got a close second in the Big Ten, I guess, but it's getting ridiculous, man. And even in the softball, outside of Oklahoma and maybe UCLA some years or Arizona, whatever, but even in women's softball, SEC is pretty good too, man. So it's really dominant. I was watching an interview with Joe Klatt and Greg Sankey the other day, and man, the SEC got a stranglehold on college athletics right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. Sure, and these other conferences, the SEC fatigue, especially in football. If the Big Ten had, there was a stretch where the SEC ran off, 7 championships in a row. I think had, Florida was winning them, LSU was winning, Alabama, Auburn, that whole little streak. If those other conferences had ran off a streak like that, they would be puffing their chest out, and we'd all be tired of them too. So until they can get on that level and start knocking the SEC off, they just gonna have to deal with the SEC puffing his chest out, man. Just
Yeah, they got to deal with it, man. And hey, like I said, I grew up. We talked about this in the past. I grew up watching those instant classics. It was another channel, man. They used to play old SEC football games. I remember growing up watching Ole Miss with Eli Manning versus Mississippi State and versus LSU, Arkansas games. I remember growing up watching those old early 2000s, late 1990s games as a kid. And it was like, man, this is whatever football this is really high level. And I didn't really know at the time. It was always on the TV. My dad's always talking about, man, it's the best conference, right? SEC. And come to find out, eventually I ended up playing in the SEC and I witnessed it firsthand. It's just a different level of athlete, and you can't deny that. I mean, it is what it is. Like there's a different level of football that take place in the states of Alabama, Louisiana, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Texas, Arkansas, Kentucky. I mean, there's a different level of football that take place in these states. And there's good football everywhere, but as a collective, we all know where it resides. So, shout out to the SEC schools. This conference got to be racking in, unforeseeable amount of money from the accolades and all the good stuff, TV contracts and whatnot. So that's good.
yeah, and that'll be media days coming up in a couple of weeks, and that'll kick off just unofficial kickoff for the season, and it'll be get this year over with, and I guess 8 game schedule, and then Texas and Oklahoma coming in, and whatever, or get the TV and the money right for that, then it'll just continue to grow and explode, and and who knows, man? Maybe this you keep hearing the Clemson talk, and the ACC is blowing up, and maybe it's North Carolina or Florida State. Who knows what down the road when they do this again and re-expand on what they just did, and it'll be 20 teams after a while. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, unbelievable. But man, for a summertime show where it's not a whole lot going on, we still had a lot to talk about. And for those fans that don't worry, you can exhale a little bit. Trey Mitchell news, another football commitment. Looking the Directors Cup standings, Kentucky comes 18th. Because all the sports across the board are, even when basketball slips up, women's basketball slips up, but the baseball team had a great season, and tennis is making a deep run, and so it's for the most part, people don't care for Mitch Barnhart or want to get mad at him about alcohol sales or whatever, but the sports programs as a whole, he's going to leave them a lot better than he found them, because it used to just be basketball and everything else, but everything else has kind of risen. Volleyball championship a couple of years ago, and all these other ones have, track and field is always strong. So, and swimming won SEC championship a couple of years ago. So all these sports are in a lot better shape than before he took over. So,
for sure, man. It's in a lot better shape from when I was there. So that's like I said, that somebody's doing something right, man. So they'll keep it up. You always got teams in the shadows that people don't give credit, like Rifle. Like people don't give those, because and I say people don't give them credit, but there's just not a lot of coverage about those programs.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was there, Rifle was the most winningest sport in Kentucky sports. Basketball was second to Rifle at the time when I was there. Rifle won I forgot what it was. Maybe something crazy, the amount of wins they had in a row, and some stat that was out there. but they were absolutely balling out of control, man. So like I said, they doing something right, man. So they'll keep it up.
That's it. So man, we had a fun episode. First live episode. We're gonna be doing this, rolling this way, from here on out on the Twitter live. Y'all that follow us there got quite a few following. So y'all YouTubers, y'all see it now. Y'all can subscribe and it'll pop right to you. Believe itself, like it's the audio version, but then there's so many different TV streaming areas that they're going to: Fubo TV, Distro TV, Glued, Local Now, Sports Travel, Freecast. All these places you can just see loops of different episodes. Believe Podcast Network episodes. So check out some of those channels. Enjoy some of the content. We'll be streaming live and stuff ourselves now, so follow us. And if you missed this episode, jump back and catch it visually, watching it like this, or hit the audio version wherever you want to, whatever platform you want to choose. We'll continue to bring you episodes. So, man, Jalen enjoyed it, and we'll be back next week doing the same thing again, man.
All right, man. Let's get it.
And we'll get Aaron Gershon back with us as well. So y'all have a good week. Enjoy your summer, because it's officially summertime now. Stay warm, stay safe, have fun. Be back next week on another episode of Believe in Kentucky. We'll see y'all then.